Hello and welcome to the Football On Draught Podcast from the Grasshopper Pub in Southport. We're here with Southport FC central defender and future pizzeria owner Nathaniel Knight-Percival. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Delighted to welcome Nathaniel Knight-Percival onto the pod. Hi Nat.
Hello.
How's things?
Yeah, all alright. Very good, thanks.
All good. Massively excited to have you on today and talk about your career. I'll just run through the teams that you've represented
already.
Histon, Wrexham, Peterborough United, Shrewsbury Town, Bradford City, Carlisle United, Morecambe, Tranmere Rovers, Kidderminster Harriers, Tamworth on loan, and Southport now. We'll obviously, if we diverse, but we'll take it through on a sort of chronological order, starting with your sort of youth career, younger days in football. How did you start out? Where did you start out? What sort of age did you start playing?
I mean, if I take it all like really far back, the earliest memories probably being about 4 or 5 years old and playing football, sort of, reception year one kind of thing, just as you do after school kind of thing, and then just as you get older, just gradually play more and more kickabouts with your mates as you do in the park or wherever you could find anywhere to play, streets, whatever, and then just start getting into sort of like young Colts Leagues teams, under 13s, 14s. Had a few trials and things at the time. I think one maybe at Peterborough. I think that was when I was sort of about 14 or so, and then went on just to play for Histon, but just they're sort of under 17s and then the youth team after that, and it just kind of just rolled from there, really. Yeah. So
came through Histon. Where were you living then? In Cambridge area?
Yeah, just in the Cambridge area, but I was probably about 2 miles or so from the Histon football ground, because I lived inside sort of, it's the other side of the A14 and then into Cambridge, but only sort of a mile or so from there, so it was about 2 miles in total to get there. I used to cycle to training, most days, yeah.
So it's quite interesting that in terms of you still continue to have a really good professional career, but weren't involved in terms of academies or anything growing up, and that's probably very much a different sort of pathway than a lot of most professional footballers. Do you think that helped you or hindered you, or just was a different sort of path than everybody else?
I think more like I say, it's just different, because obviously you can kind of you gain experience in different ways, don't you? So like if you do go through sort of a more professional setup, then you're going to be sort of you might be maybe more technically gifted than what I am, that's for sure. Or you can kind of learn it a bit, kind of, I would say maybe hard knocks kind of way, maybe to an extent. So it was just a case of just sort of at an early age. I was probably playing men's football from about 16, 17 years old, and I think that's kind of an experience in itself and helps you develop in a way.
I think there's people ask me when lads are 6, 7, 8 years old about academies, approach them and should they do this and should do that, and I think listen, it's great to go into your Evertons and Liverpools, and I think what that gives you is experience of being in a professional club, professional setting, the standards it sets. But I also think the other side, the flip side of the grassroots is playing football, enjoying it, playing with your mates, having that fun factor to it, and learning sort of, as you say, hard knock sort of side of things. I know your lads have sort of experienced both sides of it, haven't they, and found that there's different, and there's 100% there's not a right way to do it. As I say, you've come through without experience at academy setting, and had a fantastic career with lots of highs and lots of fantastic experiences. So I think that's a real example that if lads aren't in academies at 10, at 15, at even 18, I don't think that should hold them back from having
I completely I agree with you, because it's not like the be all and end all. You don't have to be in an academy at a specific time, and it might not be your time. You might not actually be as good as you are as when you get to sort of 21, 22, because everyone sort of
People develop completely differently, don't they?
That's
So,
it, exactly,
and I think as well, when you are in academies, there's a pressure. Every time you're training, you're in, and it's like, I've got to be on my game, everything perfect.
Because
yourself.
Someone's watching you, and
somebody's
they're
going to
judging you
take your
in a
place,
way.
aren't they? So I think for yourself, how you've gone about it is you've gone and played, and you've probably enjoyed the pathway more than what most of these other kids.
Yeah, obviously I can only speak from my experience, really, but I've thoroughly enjoyed all the way that it's happened for me. Obviously I can always think, oh, what if, but I mean, I'd be wasting a lot of time doing that, wouldn't I?
No, you've done it and you've got there. So broke into the Histon first team. What age were you when you got into the?
I think I played my first game at 17 years old. So before that, I was mainly playing for the reserves. And then the men's team, which was just called the Histon A team, but that was like the men's team below the reserves. So I'd played predominantly for those two for the first, I think it was like my second year of being in the youth team. Right. And then at about January time, I think I made my debut for Histon for the first team. Okay. And that was in the Southern Premier, so that's like step 3, I think that was at the time. And I think I played, I can't even remember where I played, possibly left back, maybe left wing, I don't know, something like that. But it was good. Yeah, it was really good. Like it was obviously a nervous moment, pressure, and I did feel like it was a big pressure moment. But looking back now, it wasn't really that big of a deal. But when you got because John Beck was the assistant manager and Steve Fallon the manager at the time, when I had those two people kind of behind me, it was a little bit of pressure because I hold them both in quite high regard. Sure. So it was difficult, but I definitely remember enjoying it. Yeah,
fantastic. So, as you say, I think you went on to with Histon, won the Southern League.
Yeah.
Into the Conference South. Yeah. Then won the Conference South.
Well, I think the first season we finished in the playoffs and lost in the playoffs.
St Albans.
What's that? Yes, that's right, at St Albans. Yeah, and then we went to, we won the league the next season. I think we I can't remember. I think we did
smashed
it fairly
comfortably.
Yeah.
Into the Conference North, and I think you developed. Into the National
League. Yes.
And I think at this time you'd played and moved into the first team and were playing as a left winger.
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah, I can remember playing the Conference South season was left wing, and then the next season in the National League left wing again. Well, I say again, that was my position at the time. I was just that was sort of my position. It was just sort of a tactic. We were quite a direct team. You probably remember from playing
John
against
Beck.
us. Yeah, John Beck.
He's got a reputation for being quite direct.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. So it was sort of me standing on the touch line, on the halfway line, and Danny Nesbitt hitting balls just inside, sort of aiming for the left back, so he couldn't move, and then just me coming across, heading it, flicking it down the line, and playing sort of for long throws into the box. It was very direct and very sort of regimented in the way that we played. That it would be a long kick. You'd play it, so you're trying to hit down to the sides and then into the channels as well, into the fire areas. So then they kind of had no option but to put it out of play, and then you'd kind of play from there. And then you'd get set up. Yeah. Wow. So it was very sort of this step. If that step doesn't work, this step, and very sort of.
But you had good success with it, didn't you?
We did, because we, obviously the promotions and even in the National League we continued to kind of do quite well, in fairness. Even though obviously there were a lot of full-time teams and it was a difficult league, as you will know, you played in it. There was a lot of big teams in there at the time as well. Yeah. So
I remember we played Mansfield at Histon. I remember it being direct and tough and not a nice place to go. Although I think we won. Yeah,
because it's a small
tight,
ground.
Isn't it?
The change rooms are tiny.
I think the away dressing room almost comes out into the director's lounge or something, doesn't it? It was really like a big window and that.
It was really tight. So I'm trying to think because I know they changed the change rooms around, switched them around, but they're very small. like no, there wasn't much space to get changed in there really. Like it's
probably a tactic, mate. Just give them the smallest changing room.
You say that, but I genuinely don't think there wasn't much more space to build into. There was nowhere else to go.
The highlight possibly of your time there, the promotion, other than the promotions, was a FA Cup run.
Yeah.
You went on a good run, beat Swindon, beat Leeds, lost to Swansea in the end, but that must have been fantastic.
Yeah, that was up there, one of the top moments, definitely. I mean, looking back now, I remember the day of the game, it was chucking it down as well, and there, I think, had it not been on ITV Sports, it would have been called off definitely, because the pitch was awful. It was raining throughout the majority of the game, and it was just for the Leeds players, it must have been horrible. Like, I can't think of anything worse than turning up to a non-league ground and it being the weather being like what it was,
and it probably absolutely played into your hands.
Oh, it was perfect. They were trying to pass balls into the middle of the game, caught in just ripped in the mud in the rain. They couldn't play the game properly, and we just played for set pieces, and we're just working it through 15-minute increments. It'd say get through the first 15 minutes, no goals, and it would just keep going like that. We scored a goal. Obviously, it's the worst thing. Everyone's played in those games, when it's the opposite way around, where you're playing a lower team, and then they score a goal, and then you're on the back. You're on the back foot, aren't you? And you're just sort of playing catch up, and you can't. It gives them something to hold on to, doesn't it? And that was the case for us. We were just sort of relentless in that fact. And we had a good team though at the time as well, so that was helpful in sort of how. How we played. We had big players. I remember I was probably one of the smallest players. I think I was like the second smallest player in the team.
In your team?
Yeah, at the time. Wow. So we had just a team of giants who could head it, kick it, run, physical, weren't afraid to mix it. So it was we had some good, like, tough players.
Brilliant. So the move then came about to Wrexham. Was it in your head then that you wanted to or sort of needed to make the move into professional football? And how did that move to Wrexham come about?
It wasn't even really that. I can't even remember exactly how it happened. I don't know how it came about.
Did you have an agent or anything?
I didn't really have anyone looking after me. I just had someone who was sort of like, I can help you out. And it was actually the goalkeeper at Histon at the time, Danny Nesbitt, and he was like, well, I can help you out if you want any help doing the move. And I was like, well, I mean, because I haven't got anyone else to do it. And I only found out about the interest through, I think it was our manager at the time, which was Alan Lua, who told me about the interest from Wrexham. At the time, I didn't really have any idea how my football career was going to progress. I didn't think I wasn't sure if I'd still be playing, if I'd carry on at Histon, or what the case really was. So it kind of felt like it came out of the blue. But then I drove up to Wrexham one day and met Dean Saunders. Sort of went into his office and had like a long chat with him. He was sort of like, as all long managers do.
Quite
but all the managers were, like managers were. They'll be very like, oh, we think you're this. You can do this for us. And he was a really nice guy. Actually, we chatted to him for a long time. He was like telling me like how they play, how he sees me playing for the team, things like that. And obviously walked me around the training ground. I'd never really seen anything like that before. So I was I kind of saw it as like an opportunity to go and play, and I thought, well, if it don't go well, I'll just come back home. I'll go. I'll get another job. I'll move back in with my mum, and I'll go from there, kind of thing. But I thought I may as well take the risk, and sort of my whole family were kind of in agreement that you may as well go and give it a go and see what happens, kind of thing.
So obviously you lived down south. Did you just move yourself up there and live up there and go into it like fully?
I moved to Liverpool and travelled from there. So I ended up having kind of a bit of a car school with like 3-4 other Scousers, who we all kind of just jumped in, met just the other side of the tunnel, jumped in the car through the tunnel, and then down to Wrexham most mornings. And it was just a bit different really, because I wasn't used to training training in the days, because we used to do Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Originally it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then when we got promoted to National League, it changed to Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And it was just very different, just going from training in the evenings and it only being 2-3 times a week to then training Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, games on Saturday, and it just seemed I found it quite tricky to progress to it and kind of figure out my timings of doing things, like what I should be doing the rest of the time, and just general full-time footballer life kind of thing.
So obviously, as I know well, your 2 playoff campaigns at Wrexham.
Because they were both against Luton in the...
Glad you mentioned that. Obviously Luton turned you over twice. But during that period, the conversion came, I believe, to a centre half. It's I know a lot of the time, you hear sort of centre midfielder dropping back a bit, or maybe even wide players dropping back to full back. But not very often you hear sort of left wing move into centre half. I know obviously you said it was perhaps an unconventional centre left wing role that you played at Histon. How did it happen? How did it come about? Was it by accident and a happy accident, or was it something you discussed when you went up to speak to Saunders to start with? Or
No, it was. I'd never really kind of. I think I'd obviously when I first started at Histon, I'd played as a left back, and I never played like in the middle. Obviously, being left-footed, you were kind of normally pushed out to either left back, left wing, or somewhere on the left side of the pitch, unless you were exceptional in sort of somewhere else. But I was never really an exceptional footballer. I was consistent, but never exceptional. So I used to always end up playing on the left somewhere. So I started at left back, and then obviously fast forward however long I was playing left wing and managing to score goals and things from that position on the pitch. And then and so sort of in the first season at Wrexham, I was in and out of the team. I started a lot of games. I was on the bench for quite a lot of games as well. So it was a real mix. So I'd play sort of left of a front three, because we played a 4-3-3 at Wrexham. I played the left of a front three. I played in the middle. Played on the right of a front three as well. And then I played all the 3 positions in midfield in that first season at Wrexham. So I played everywhere apart from anywhere in defence. And then, and sort of in the had reserve games and things. So when there were, if I was a sub on the Saturday, sometimes there'd be a reserve game on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, which I'd play in. And in one of those games, I think it was a joint decision between Gareth Taylor and Dean Saunders. They said, well, why aren't you playing centre half today? Because we've got all these midfielders, all these strikers in the team. Do you want to try playing at centre half? We think you might be alright. And I was like, well, I mean, am I playing? And they were like, yeah, you can play. So I was like, cool, I'll play there then.
That's the first time you've ever played as a centre half.
Played a reserve game at centre half. Did quite well. I can kind of remember. I think we played at Airbus or something. And played well. I don't even know if I kept a clean sheet or not. No idea. And then from that reserve game, which was probably in about February, March time, I probably played every time I played a reserve game. If I hadn't played on the Saturday like a full game in those front positions, then in the reserve games I played centre half for the rest of the season.
So what about in training and things?
In training, like then I'd started moving in training. We used to have small-sided games on a Friday where Dean Saunders and Brian Carey would play for the old team. This was old v young team. I was in the young team, and I used to play centre half in the young team, like centre half or like the left back, centre half kind of position. And Dean Saunders always used to play up front, so I used to play kind of up against him. And gradually throughout the old v young games, he moved wider and wider and further away from me. And I figured I must be doing something right. If he keeps moving somewhere where I'm not going. And we used to beat the old team the majority of the time as well, so that was always quite good for us. And then it just kept going from there. We played reserve games. I played reserve games at centre half, and then it got to the end of the season finished obviously. I think I played right of a front three against Luton in one of the playoff games, and then pre-season came round and he said, do you want to try? Do you want to play centre half in the pre-season games? And I said, am I playing? He said, yeah. I said, that's fine. Yeah, if I'm playing, I'm playing. It's great. So I went. So I started all the pre-season games at centre half, and then obviously the first game of the season comes the week leading up to. It's like, I'm going to play centre half in the first game, and I was just like, oh, okay. He said, I think this is your position, kind of thing. So I was like, okay, well, let's do it. So I sort of created a good centre half relationship. I can't remember who I was playing
Mark
with.
Crichton,
I played with Mark Crichton for the majority of the season. I think he came in a little bit later though, because I played with some different people at the beginning, and it kind of just snowballed really. I just kind of went from there, started playing centre half, doing well, and then it just led on to the rest of the season. Played pretty much every game, bar probably a couple of games at centre half.
Brilliant. And obviously you must have done well, because the move came about to Peterborough United in the Championship.
Yeah. I think it was about sort of January time, and we'd played. It was when we were playing Brighton in the FA Cup. We drew with them at their place. I think it was 1-1, and then we played them at the racecourse ground in a replay. And it got to. I was playing against Craig McKell-Smith in the second game, and he was starting for Brighton at the time. And I remember him being, obviously, he was a Peterborough guy as well. And then I think it was around that time, Peterborough they showed their interest in me, and I signed a pre-contract agreement to move there in the summer. I think in January, February time. Right. And I was sort of just like over the moon. Like this is great. I never thought I was going to make it into sort of like professional football. Didn't think wasn't sure if I'd make it into sort of League 2, League 1, and I was getting a move to the Championship. Brilliant. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great. It was really good. It was like the same year that Jamie Vardy moved to Leicester. So he was at Fleetwood, and I played up against him all that season. Obviously his move was a lot bigger than mine. He's a £1 million move to Leicester, but he's a great player, so I've got no complaints about that. But to kind of do the same thing as like in the terms of the jump that he was doing as well, is a big deal for me at the time. I
think it'd be a big deal for anybody. I think considering your pathway from the beginning, no academy football, playing a Hister, and then jumping up, made it unbelievable to be fair.
And so you moved into the Football League, the Championship at 26. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Yeah.
How did you find the step? What were the big differences that you found between the National League and the Championship?
Oh yeah, there was it's just the sort of the mindset of the players. You got a bit more of an ego around players. Obviously they're better players. You got to have a bit of self-confidence, otherwise you're not going to be playing in the Championship. And just the level of the players, the strikers, the thinking kind of time was so much quicker. They didn't have to. They'd have sort of one opportunity, they'd score every time. Yeah. It was ruthless in that sense. But it was just because it was such a big jump. It was just really enjoyable just to be kind of in that environment with really good players, because you'd be playing against either the guys who just weren't quite good enough for the Premier League, who might be dropping down a level, or some of the players who are coming up and who have had great futures, and some people who obviously are still playing now who are unbelievable players as well. So really
brilliant.
Good, really good.
And at Peterborough you won the Football League trophy at Wembley. Yeah,
that was in the second season. Really good. Again, another really great moment for me. I think that was the first time going to Wembley, and it was just a really good experience. We went the day before and did the whole kind of walk around the stadium, get used to your surroundings kind of thing, and going into the changing rooms, and it's just on another level. You go. It's unbelievable, because the day before was really nice, because you'd walk in, and the pitch is immaculate. It's a lovely day as well, because it's towards, I think it was either the 30th of March or the 31st of March. I think that final was, and the pitches are immaculate. You're walking out, the change rooms are huge. There's not one change. There's like a change room, then you've got another change room, then you've got a manager's area in that room, then there's a warm-up area in the room, and then there's a physio area in the room. And this is all in just one thing. You just think this is unbelievable. This is like the bee's knees kind of stuff. And it was and then obviously turning up on the day in our suits, getting to go out on the pitch, walk out on the pitch even before the game, warming up. The whole experience it is something I'll never forget, just purely because you have so many people watching, and it's kind of it just felt like such an experience, and it's just a great time. Like, I had my whole family watching as well. And yeah, it was brilliant, really good. Yeah.
So in your first season you were relegated, is that right?
Yeah.
First season you were relegated. Second season playoffs.
Yeah, and we lost to Leyton Orient. Yeah, in the
final, was it?
No, in the
semi-final.
In the playoffs.
So it's 3 semi-finals, 3 defeats.
4 if you. Oh no, I was going to say.
Well, 4 if you count
the other Histon playoff. Yeah.
Okay, so we're on 4 playoffs.
There's a lot of playoffs and a lot of
defeats.
Yeah,
but you won the you won the trophy.
Yeah,
so it makes up for it. So, the relegation from the Championship. How was that sort of? Peterborough probably. I don't know, overachieving to be in the Championship. Did it feel like that? And that League One was more your level, sort of.
It was hard to kind
level,
of get. It was kind of hard to get a sense of it, because I'd gone there in the Championship, so I think everyone was sort of like, we're a Championship club kind of thing. But I think when we dropped down to League One, and obviously seeing what the club's done from then until now, you'd probably say they're probably about a League One team, like a top League One team. And they've been up, they've been down, and so such is the life of a Peterborough United supporter. But yeah, obviously the relegation from the Championship was it was a bit disappointing. It was obviously for me it was a bit of a bit of a mixed emotions kind of thing. Obviously I was hate getting relegated. It's a horrible thing to have to go through, and it's horrible for the fans, for the whole club and everything like that. But personally, for me, because I'd had a season in the Championship, and also was still going to be playing in a much higher league than I thought I was ever going to play, I wasn't ever too sort of like, right, that's like, it's not all
disastrous.
Over. There's so much. I've still got a full season of competitive football to be playing at League One, which I didn't think I'd be playing. So it wasn't the end of the world for me. Yeah.
And then leaving Peterborough, you went on to Shrewsbury Town.
Yeah.
What happened in terms of leaving Posh and then the move to Shrewsbury? How did that come about?
I think I did have my agent at the time, and he was sort of, obviously I had a conversation with Darren Ferguson. He said, look, I really like you as a player. Staying in League One. I don't think we'll have the budget for you this year. If we'd got promoted, I would have kept you, and things like that. I don't know if it's all wish-wash or what, but in fairness, though, he's always very supporting of me, and I'm grateful to him, because he was helpful with even like finding my next move as well, because I think he obviously put in a good word for me, because Mickey Mellon did speak with him about me, which was very helpful. But yeah, after he told me that I'd got out, obviously first thing you do, you ring your agent, you say, look, I've been released, blah blah blah, and he said, right, I'll get on it. And sort of within a few days or something, he'd said, okay, got you moved to Shrewsbury, what do you think, do you want to go and see it? And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll go down. So went down, chatted with Mickey Mellon, and basically just signed there, and just got on board with the project there, really, because it was a bit of a trick one, because I think we signed like 14 players or something that season, and there was a lot of turnover in players, because they had just got relegated from League One to League Two. So it was kind of a bit of a big turnaround in players, and kind of a bit of a project, like we're gonna have to get promoted kind of thing.
So another bad Luton story for you. You got sent off at Luton.
I can't remember.
You did? You got sent off at Luton.
If it's to do with Luton, he'll do you.
Do you know what? I always feel sorry for players who got sent off at Luton, because that walk across the pitch at Luton.
It was quite a long walk. Did you see the side I had to do it at as well?
Did you do it in the far end and have to walk all the way up?
Yeah,
that's horrendous. the Luton fans are horrible at the best of times. Walking into that corner on a red card.
Yeah,
I can only sympathise with you.
Yeah, it was. I don't even think it was a red card. It was two. It was two yellows. So the first one I think was just a tackle, which it's borderline a yellow card. I was like, that's harsh, come on, ref. And then the next one, someone went to go past me and they like chipped it up, and it's just hit my hand, which was down by my side. Like it was probably a couple of yards away, something like that. Hit my hand, and then he's come up, and I've jogged off thinking, just foul, nothing. Like he's not going to give anything for that. Second yellow, off you go, and I was just in shock. Like it's not a red card, it's not a second yellow card. I had to do the long walk, so I've gone all the way, obviously down that side, opposite to the dugout. Walking past there and then into the thing, and then got loads of abuse from everyone.
Probably your mum.
Probably my mum. That's where she sits there, just in front of her.
So got loads of abuse.
She did say it was a straight red, to be fair. But
that was that.
But good times at Shrewsbury. Got promoted back to League One.
Finished second, was it?
Yeah, I think we finished second in the end. We played really well that season. It was a bit unfortunate for me personally. I did my ACL in February time maybe, or something like that, and up until that point I was actually having a very good season. Like we played sort of
so you're now centre half.
Yeah, I was playing
no DV away, full centre half.
Yeah, full centre half. I was playing left of a back three. Played with Connor Goldson, who obviously went to Brighton Rangers and he's now abroad. I'm not sure where he is, somewhere in Cyprus, I think. And a guy called Jermaine Granderson, who's a big fella, very athletic, quick, strong, as was Connor as well. And we just sort of formed a really good centre half relationship. Like as a three, we could sort of go 1v1 against anyone. Like your wing backs would be so high and wide because us three could cover the full width of the pitch up and down and easily battle against the majority of the team of opposing teams sort of pretty comfortably. And then obviously when I did my ACL, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth because I felt like I was sort of having a really good season, like pushing to, I don't know, maybe who knows, even make a move somewhere else. But such is life. Carried on. We obviously the season finished. The lads managed to keep up the form of the earlier half of the season, and we got promoted. And we had a really good team. And ended up losing two of our players the next season, Ryan Woods and Connor Goldson, to higher teams. Just obviously because of how well they had been playing for us.
And then came back into the squad after your ACL. What was it like being out and the recovery? Would you look back at that as one of your toughest times of your career?
No, I really wouldn't. The thing is, it wasn't as bad as, because I guess it depends sort of how it happens and what happens to you. But I was. Me and a guy called James Wesolowski, we did our ACLs at probably within 2-3 weeks of each other, and we had our operations within a few days of each other. So we were on exactly the same rehab program. So it was great because we did that whole thing together, and we probably didn't even talk loads like outside of football before the injury, and like even in the season, like we weren't like the closest of mates, but then after that we'd just become like really good friends. I saw him like a week ago or so as well, so like I see him, we meet up every year, and just doing the whole rehab with him because having someone else to do it with helps a lot, because when you're up and they're down you can pick them up and vice versa. It's really helpful. So it's not, it doesn't feel like it's just you and the physio every day and them just telling you you've got to do this, you've got this to do, here's a sheet, go and do that. But it would be us two, and we could figure out how to do stuff, we could add in extra things, and we'd just make it a bit more fun, a little bit kind of more chilled out. So
when you came back from your ACL, obviously still at Shrewsbury, you got back into the team and made captain. Was it Liam Lawrence, James Collins had moved on?
So James
Collins went to Luton.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he did very well for him as well. So I moved into captain's role, which was I was I was vice captain at Wrexham in the second year actually.
Okay.
So I'd had kind of an experience because our captain had been injured for a few months actually. So I had a bit of experience being captain for Wrexham, and then moving to Shrewsbury to be given the captain armband. It was pretty cool actually. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I never sort of really see myself as like a proper like shouting, screaming kind of captain, but maybe more as one who kind of leads by example a little bit and can talk to the lads outside of football, outside of sort of a football setting and things like that. It was really good though. I really enjoyed being given that responsibility. And like Mickey Mellon was, he was always supportive of me as well. Like the fact that he signed me again when I was at Tranmere, and I still speak to him now. So yeah, the fact that he gave me that role, I was very, very grateful for it. Yeah.
And you had an FA Cup date with a decent Premier League club at that period as well.
Manchester United.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
I think it was only Martial and
he played. Mata
played, didn't he? Yeah,
I think Jesse Lingard played as well.
It was a strong team. That was our experience.
That was it was tough because they're pretty good. They're quite good football players, actually, believe it or not. Despite what everyone says about them, they're actually quite good at football. So yeah.
Did Mata win the World Cup? Did he?
Probably. I think he won the World Cup and Euros, didn't he?
Yeah. He whipped a nice little free kick over our wall into the top corner, which was just got to watch it like that.
Good finish.
Good there. It's another one. Yeah, they won 3-0. It was
but a good experience.
Yeah.
And then moved on from Shrewsbury, Bradford City.
Yeah.
Big club Bradford, I think. Obviously, being a Premier League club previously, lots of expectation, massive stadium. I think the good times are back a little bit now. They're getting good crowds and everything, and they're at the top end of League Two. How was that experience? And you got to a playoffs with them.
The first year, I think the first year I'd kind of come in off kind of their success through the Carling Cup where they did really well and they got to the finals. I think that was I think that might have been the previous season with Phil Parkinson, and he had left to go to Bolton. Yeah. And they were looking for a left-sided centre half. So my agent put me forward. Do you want this guy, left-sided centre half? They said yeah. Went in, had a chat with the new manager, which was Stuart McCall, and signed. And it kind of just went well really the first season there because they had so many of the players from the previous seasons who'd got all this success that they had a really good togetherness, understanding of the team. They knew what they were, they knew what they were about, how to play, and with new owners coming in as well, the new German owners, everything was sort of like looking quite up at the time, and we had a really good first season. We were in playoffs for the majority of it. Even tickled the automatic promotion places a few times as well, and then managed to get to the playoff final, but unfortunately, obviously lost to Millwall.
Is that 5 now? Five playoff defeats.
Yes, yeah.
Not that we're counting.
I'm always playing for something though. Always playing for something.
And then suffered a relegation.
Yeah, after the playoff finals, the season after was always going to be a tricky season because we lost a lot of the players who were doing really well.
You're in League One now, aren't you?
Yeah, this is in League One. Yeah. And we signed people, but the majority of players who we signed were kind of young players. So we didn't have that experience and maybe not the team togetherness that we had the previous season. And that season, we kind of muddled through it. About, I think it was January, February time, Stuart McCall got sacked. Unfortunately, we had a few, and then we ended up having a few different managers. And I think, what did we have? I think we had Simon Grayson who came in till the end of the season. we stayed up. We finished sort of mid-table, but nothing to write home about. Just a very kind of that's it kind of season. And then the second season started, and my third year at Bradford began, and it was difficult because we had a manager who'd come from the youth teams who'd been appointed as the first team manager, and you could tell they were kind of cutting back a little bit at the time because the players we were getting, again, more younger players, pushing the youth team to a certain extent, and we didn't start to. The first game of the season we actually won 1-0 against Shrewsbury, and then from then on we kind of just progressively we didn't get worse, but we didn't really stand many fighting chances there, and we didn't play any good stuff. That was probably more of a lower point of my career at that point, because we just couldn't find ways to win, and it was just getting worse and worse. The manager got sacked quite early on, sort of in about September time, and we got another manager in who took over, who took the majority of the season. He then got sacked as well. We had another manager in towards the end of the season. It was just you could see it was just a bit of a mess.
No consistency in style of play or in togetherness, or just nothing.
Yeah, it did feel like a bit of a mess, and you could kind of tell and obviously we were going from, in the first season that I was there, with sort of 18,000 fans every week at home games, to sort of dropping down to kind of 11, which is obviously a ridiculous amount of fans anyway, but for Bradford City and the club and everything, it wasn't good, and you could just tell it was just slowly like kind of coming off a little bit, and we didn't deserve to stay up or anything like that. It was that was probably one of the lower points of my career, like getting relegated with them, just because of how it happened and how it can really
sort of with a whimper.
We didn't even there wasn't really much fight about us, and it was just a bit of a horrible kind of environment to be in.
So sort of not finished. I mean finished. So
only about half.
Carried on. Obviously Carlisle, Morecambe, Tranmere, Kiddie, Tamworth on loan, and Southport now. Looking back over all your club sides throughout your career, is there somewhere you look back on and think sort of that was where I felt most comfortable, that's where I enjoyed in any of them?
Shrewsbury I enjoyed a lot. I moved there, bought my first house there, so really good experiences of being there. I enjoyed being there a lot. It was a long way from home, but I liked having. I kind of felt like I'd grown up a little bit. I didn't feel like I was a kid. I didn't feel properly like an adult either. But I found it quite nice to have like my own space and sort of be a little bit more independent, more so than I have been before. So I enjoyed being at Shrewsbury a lot. That was probably up there with one of my favourite places. Made a lot of friends there who I still speak to today as well. Okay. So that's probably one of my favourite places I've played.
And you've mentioned a few of them. You've obviously, throughout your clubs, had a fair few managers. I'll try and correct me if I'm wrong on any of these.
Okay.
Steve Fallon, Histon. You've mentioned Alan Lewis.
Yeah. Alan Lewis, yeah.
Dean Saunders, Andy Morell at Wrexham.
Yeah.
Darren Ferguson, Peterborough.
Yeah.
Mickey Mellon, Shrewsbury and Tranmere.
Yep. Stuart
McCall, Simon Grace and David Hopkin at Bradford.
Yeah, and was it Adam Collins, I think, who was the
goalkeeper?
He's a midfielder, but he was the youth team coach who came to.
Okay, gotcha.
Who did the first of the year we got relegated, did the first few
first
minutes.
quarter.
Yeah.
Stephen Presley, Chris Beach.
Yeah.
Carlisle.
Yeah.
Derek Adams, Morecambe.
Yep.
Russ Penn, Phil Brown, Kidderminster.
Yep.
Andy Peaks, Tamworth.
Yep.
And James Bentley, Southport.
Yes. Young James Bentley.
Any which of those would you say you learnt the most of, or would say you've not got the most respect for, because I'm sure you've got respect for all of them, but that would sort of you'd say rubbed off on you the most?
Some, by the way, some unbelievable managers and that, by the way, honestly.
There's now that you've actually listed it, that does actually seem a little bit surreal. There's some really good managers there, actually.
Stuart McCall, what a player for Everton.
Oh yeah,
Saunders,
unbelievable player.
Great career.
Yeah. I mean, I've got so much respect for all of them, really, because I mean, just being a manager in itself, it's a tricky job, isn't it? It's a tough job. I learned a lot from Mickey Mellon, like maybe not so much how to be a defender, but sort of like mindset, mentality of players. I learned a lot from him, sort of like how to kind of be a leader, even not even in a way of shouting and things like that, but how to kind of be able to understand and organise teams in a sense like that. When I was at Peterborough, though, I had obviously Darren Ferguson. He was really good with me. But when in the second season there, when we got a defensive coach, which was Gary Breen, if you remember
Coventry.
Played for Ireland in the World Cup, I think, as well. He came in the second season. He was one of the best.
Okay.
He was one of the best for me because he taught me so much stuff about actually being a centre half. Brian Kerry, mind you, did a lot of that before the lead up, before he left. But when I was at Peterborough and he was there, the amount of stuff Gary Breen taught me, like things that I'll never forget, and stuff that I pass on to all centre halves. I tell them all these simple things that I've been told from him, and just little reminders of all these different things. And I got so much knowledge from him in terms of how to be like a good centre half. It was ridiculous. So he was up there, even though he wasn't a manager, but a coach. Probably taught me the most.
Obviously, some unbelievable names there as managers, and as you mentioned, coaches there. In terms of players, there's probably 25 times as many as good players and brilliant players that you've played with along the club. Is there anyone stands out in terms of talent and ability and that you played alongside?
Our good friend Lee Tomlin, his ability was
frightening.
Unbelievable. Like he'd see stuff you wouldn't even think of, and even though he was a little bit rotund, wasn't he? But he was very quick.
Yeah,
he was quick, so quick. Yeah. He was so quick. So he was a really good player that I played with. But it's hard to think off the top of my head. There's a lot of good players there. There was a lot of good players. Jordan Clark plays at Luton now. Yeah. When I was at Shrewsbury, he didn't even play that much, but he was very talented. Very talented
player.
Brilliant
for Luton.
He's he's grown with the team as well, and he was such a talent. He was only a young kid when he came, but he was a really good player. Connor Goldson, Ryan Woods, really good players, very professional as well, both of them. Like they used to go out sort of for trains that sort of half an hour, 45 minutes early, and would be kicking balls about, just them two. So they were proper professionals, those two. But there's loads. I'm trying to think. You have to. And then obviously, when I was at Tranmere, Jay Spearing, Peter Clark, Nicky Maynard. Really good guys. I saw him sort of like a year or so ago, and he was like, if you're ever in Liverpool, give me a shout.
Still plays with the Liverpool 21 lads. He played against Blackpool in the Papa John's Cup.
He's still going, isn't he? Yeah. So he's a great, really good guy as well. Like you say, like you could chat to him for hours, and he's just really personable kind of character. So he's a good guy and very good football player as well.
Yeah, he has a good career, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Last sort of couple of questions. Obviously, find yourself at Southport now. Signed in the summer. How have you found it so far? And thoughts about obviously the season and how it's going?
Obviously from signing, I've chat with the gaffer, and he's been great, and I've really enjoyed it. I've said to everyone who I've come across in Southport, I've always been like, I really enjoy it. It's a bit of a different one for me because this is my first season out of full-time football, so it's a bit of a transition kind of period for me, but I've really enjoyed it. I think it works well for these older legs and joints, that's for sure. But I feel like I'm getting the most out of it as well, sort of in terms of being able to play consistently, train consistently, and just have a good. And I just feel like we've got a good feel around the club as well. And obviously, results have kind of been a little bit up and down, but I feel like they're progressively getting better as the season goes. So we're not having as many kind of.
So you feel like you just win a couple, lose one, win a couple, lose one.
Yeah, because towards the beginning of the season we were sort of winning a couple and maybe losing a couple and then drawing a couple. But now we're sort of winning a bit more regularly and not drawing as many and losing fewer as well. So I feel like it's sort of slowly turning,
coming together.
Yeah, which is good because there's a lot of football to play. We're not even at Christmas yet, so hopefully we can just keep that consistency.
No, absolutely.
Keep picking up points.
I think you've been. I'm just saying it because you've been fantastic for the dressing room. You've been fantastic for the younger players, the likes of Tom Moore, who has come in from a couple of levels down. But I think your influence on him has been superb, and I think Tom's been excellent for us.
Yeah, he's done really well. Tom's done really well, and Keenan and all the centre as well. The whole team have been really good. But so I can speak from a centre half's perspective and say that it's nice to, because they're willing to learn as well. Even regardless of how old you are, I feel like we can still kind of speak to each other on a level where it's not criticism. It's just information which we're passing on, and likewise, I will happily accept information, whatever, from manager, from other players as well, because we're a team. At the end of it, we've got to understand where everyone's coming from. Otherwise, it doesn't really make much of a team. Doesn't help much.
Obviously, looking forward now, I don't know how far you look forward or the plans that you make in terms of your career or playing, or how long you think you might be able to go on for or want to go on for. What do you see yourself, your future looks like on and off the pitch? I know you've got some sort of plans that you've shown the boys a little taster of as well.
Yeah, my pizzas.
Your pizzas.
Yeah, my pizzas. I haven't got any huge plans at the moment. My pizza thing is just kind of a hobby being put into, which I'm trying to put into the real world in some kind of way.
Well, I think it went down with the lads. It came in. I wasn't there that evening, unfortunately. It came into training with 20 boxes of pizza. Yeah. Homemade.
Yeah.
Homemade.
It's a tricky one. Oh man, I'm getting all embarrassed now. It's a tricky one. It's just something. It's something I've done for years. I started making pizzas from scratch, kind of from when I was at Shrewsbury, so sort of 10, 11 years ago. And it's just something I've always enjoyed. I always enjoy eating a pizza. I enjoy the process of making it. I like cooking anyway, so it chills me out. It's very relaxing. Any kind of cooking I love doing. And then the pizza and the bacon and the kneading of the dough.
You can see how enthusiastic you are, by the way, as you're explaining it. You're like...
So from absolute scratch.
Yeah. So it's your flour, your water, all those kind of things.
Can we get that ingredient?
Yeah. Get one. And it just goes from.
I'm surprised you've not brought one with you today, mate.
No. But I did see there's one a couple of doors down, and they do some good pizzas there apparently. So I'll have to check that place out. And it's just sort of something I thought I'll give it a go. I just need to obviously just get rolling with getting into an event or some sort of thing like that. But it's just sort of something I kind of do for fun at the moment, that I'd maybe like to do in the future. It's not fully thought out. No name just yet.
Maybe this is a new feature. We should get some of the guests to bring us. Bring us
food.
Food or drink.
Something tangible which you can eat or have or something like that. Yeah. No. That's all it is at the moment. Yeah. And a bit of coaching on the side.
And a bit of coaching.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, I'm sure, I haven't seen you up close and personal this year. You've still got a few years left and you're on the pitch with that left foot. But fantastic to come on. Fantastic to have you on. Sorry, great to have you. It's been brilliant talking about your career. Thank you very much for coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
Top man.
Okay, so we're here with the Nathaniel Knight-Percival pub quiz. 20 questions in 90 seconds, whichever comes first. All tediously linked, some of them to yourself, but quite specific on your career and your life. So Heck's going to do the time, 90 seconds. Heck will keep score and you will tell us when your time is up.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Go. 1. Who did you make your full debut against for Peterborough United in a League Cup tie?
Hendon?
Incorrect. To the nearest 10, what percentage of pizza orders in the world include pepperoni?
Oh, it's got to be 60.
Incorrect. How many league appearances did you make for Morecambe?
33.
Incorrect. Who did you score the only goal for Kidderminster Harriers against?
Cousin Ashton.
Correct. Who is the new manager of Shrewsbury Town?
Gareth Ainsworth.
Correct. Which Southport player took the corner to assist your goal at Scarborough Athletic?
Daniel Hyde.
Correct. Who scored Manchester United's first goal when they beat Shrewsbury Town in the FA Cup 5th round in 2016?
Was it Martial?
Incorrect. 8. Who did Peterborough United lose to on the final day of the 2012-13 Championship season?
Crystal Palace.
Correct. 9. What squad number were you during your season at Morecambe?
4.
Correct. 10. What is the name of Wrexham's ground?
Racecourse Ground.
Correct. 11. Which future England midfielder played for Leeds United versus Histon in the FA Cup in 2008?
Fabian Delph.
Correct. 12. Which former Carlisle United teammate shares 31st of March as their birthday?
Byron Webster.
Correct. 13. Which political party governed Enfield Borough?
Labour.
Correct. 14. Which MK Dons player were you adjudged to elbow and received a red card in the 7th minute?
Patrick
while playing?
Bamford.
Correct.
Time.
14 questions we got through.
Tell you what, you're doing well towards the end there, by the way.
We'll just carry on with the questions
really
you didn't get to.
Okay.
I think you did well with the questions you didn't get to. 15. In which year did Kidderminster Harriers win the FA Trophy?
2000.
No, 1987.
Oh.
Double question, that's your usual one.
Okay.
16. Who replaced you in the 79th minute on your Southport debut against Alfreton?
Were Keenan Kwanzaa.
Correct.
Yes.
Who is the current manager of Histon?
Oh, I think. Is it Chris Nunn?
Correct, yeah. Lee Tomlin's first tattoo was a silhouette on his back of which footballer?
No way, that's true.
I think he's probably had it covered now, so he probably didn't see it.
Ronaldo.
No, David Beckham. It was horrific. It was, you know, the silhouette when it's like that. He had it on his shoulder. He came in, everyone was like that. Simon, what's that? It's David Beckham. You couldn't even tell it was David Beckham. 100%. He had, wings on his back, I think, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So it covered over. With
I was going to say I didn't see that.
He also had an 8 on his calf, didn't he?
That,
and he got given the squad number 10. He was gutted.
Yeah, I remember that as well. That's good.
He did. 19, including the hyphen, how many characters are there in Nathaniel Knight-Percival?
Oh,
you can count them now, you're not against the time.
I know.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, I can't be bothered, it's probably about 28.
24. And Simon Grayson's first managerial job was at which club?
No, Leeds.
Blackpool. So, questions you got right. Who did you make your full debut against for Peterborough in the League Cup tie?
Oh, for Peterborough, did you say? Did you say Histon?
No, for Peterborough.
Did you say Histon? Ah, damn it. It was against. I know who that was. It was against Reading.
Yes. Yeah. Listen to the question.
It was the first one. Can we check that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I scored an own goal as well. Yeah.
Yes, you did. To the nearest 10, what percentage of pizza orders in the world include pepperoni?
Do you know what? I reckon it's less now because I bet there's loads of Italians will do your classic margaritas and your marinaras, won't they? In hindsight. It's probably like 20, isn't it?
40. Well, it's 36%, so rounded up is 40. That's a difficult question for
you. Yeah.
How many league appearances did you make for Morecambe? You said 33, it's 34.
You was saying 34 as well, by the way, yeah. 33.
Yeah.
Kidderminster goal was against Curzon.
Yeah.
Gareth Ainsworth, you got. Lloydie, of course, takes every set piece, every throwing goes and goals for pen and everything.
Happy days.
First goal scorer for Man United was
Chris Smalling.
Was it? Oh, yes, it was. Your boy Chris Smalling. I was marking him from that corner, but it actually got cleared, and we all set out into a different. This is me making excuses. Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah. I'll still take the blame for that.
Crystal Palace was correct. 4 for Morecambe. Squad number was correct. Racecourse correct. Fabian Delph, great answer. Byron Webster, you on a roll there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Labour, you got right. Patrick Bamford, red card against that. Yeah, was that a red?
No, never been a red. I was running the other way and I put my arm out like that and caught him in the face. He went down. Yeah, there's a lot of red cards in there. It wasn't a red card though.
And that was it. So, out of 14 questions, you got
10.
10.
10!
Takes you to the top.
Yes!
The Football On Draft pub quiz
amazing.
leaderboard above David Morgan and knocking Kevin Towie down to third place.
I'm really happy with that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
man. That's really
Top
good
man.
news. That's really good news. I'm happier about that than most things. That's really good.
Fantastic.
I'll next one on Thursday.
Yeah,
That'd be
make
great.
sure you do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.
Top man.